layers are the foundation of Photoshop. All right, you agree with me that we can do little or nothing on Photoshop without the use of layers. All right, be it in photo editing, creating flyers, creating banners, and all of that. You can do little or nothing without the use of layers on Photoshop. All right, so you see Photoshop, you always see layers. Okay, so today I want to talk about one very important function or one very important feature on the layers, which we called layer mask or masking generally. All right, so I want to talk about masking on our layers. All right, so let's get into it. All right, so before we get into it, if you are new here or if you are new here, I want to crave your indulgence to please subscribe to my YouTube channel. All right, please subscribe to my YouTube channel. The page is growing and we need more subscribers, we need more likes, we need more comments to get our content reach a larger audience. All right, so please subscribe to my YouTube channel. Thank you. Now, so let's talk about layers and layer mask. Okay, so if you can see my screen now, I have this element here. Let me turn off the background. Now, this element is supposed to be a PNG, or I want to use this element as a PNG file for a design, but then I downloaded it as a JPEG file from Pinterest.com. All right, so now before I can make use of this, I will have to remove the background, right? And then the normal thing I will do is to just do my background remover technique and then go. But now I may have a need of this somewhere else, and that is where layer masking comes in. I don't know if this is a very perfect example though, but we can always use it to work with other pictures or work with other elements that we have. Now, by making a selection of this, let me use color range to make a selection. Color range, from select menu here, I'll select color range, and I have this setting here. My fuzziness is at 39%. Let me make it 40%. Okay, so by the time I click OK, this is going to select for me. All right, I'm going to have this selection. I think there's a little we have a little, this is not so perfect, so I'll just add to this selection. So I would use subtract. Let me see if subtract is going to work. Is this supposed to be subtract or add? It's supposed to be add actually, so I'll add. Right, if you don't understand what I'm doing, I think I have a tutorial where I talked about how to make use of these functions. Okay, so I'm adding to that selection. Yeah, so I've gotten it. Then I'll do the same thing for this other part of the screen. So yeah, so I have a perfect selection, or a selection that looks quite perfect. Okay, so what I'm going to do now is to head over to my layers panel here, and we are going to see this add layer mask. All right, so instead of just deleting this, I'm going to click on add layer mask. So by adding layer masks, you can see now that we have hidden the selection. All right, but then I need the red ribbon. Is it ribbon we call it now? I need the red ribbon. That's what I will need for this design, for this process. So what I'm going to do now is just to invert the selection. So if you are using a Windows PC, you can do Control plus I. On Mac is Command plus I. All right, so by doing a simple shortcut, Control plus I or Command plus I can invert the selection. Now let me show you two things I could do from here. Let me go back. Ideally, if I'm to do a normal process or the usual process of selecting and trimming off, what I'll just do is I'll just rasterize this and I'll click on backspace. So I now have this. Okay, so this is what I now have, and then I can work with this. But then if you pay attention to my layers, this is what I have now. So if I should do 2, 3, 4, 5 works ahead, I'll not be able to affect this thing, or I'll not be able to add any effects to this thing, or I'll not be able to correct a fundamental thing from this image here. Okay, so but by the time I mask it, using my layer mask, you can even see that it is still, I still have it as a smart object. So I still have this element as a smart object without cutting. So either I transform up and down, I will still have this same element. All right. I use this most of the time when I'm editing or when I'm designing flyers, and I have to make use of pictures. All right, pictures of guest ministers. Sometimes when you are done designing, a client will ask you to either add to the number of ministers or the number of speakers for a particular event. Of course, you have to add, even if you maybe complain or that will not really sit well with you. You would just have to accept and move forward and add them. So at such point, you have to work non-destructively. And one very important tool, or one very important thing to note when working non-destructively, is using layer mask. Right. So now I have this as a layer mask. I can proceed with this and use it for any design I want to use for. And you understand? Now I have another element here. So I can still use my color range. See, you selected. I still have 40. I have the selection, then layer mask. The same thing that happened that time. Let me turn off the background. You see, so it's at the other side. Although to prevent this, we can select one of our cutting tool, maybe lasso tool or whatever lasso tool, and then right click and select inverse. I've inverted it before masking it, so masking it now, I'm going to have the same thing here. All right, so by masking, I have the elements here. I could still go double click on this and come and adjust a thing or two from my layer mask panel. All right, so this is how layer masking works, and this is what layer masking can help you do as a graphic designer. So it's not all the time you just cut your elements. It's not all the time you just cut an image with lasso to just you just cut. Okay, so sometimes it's okay to as against cutting your image completely. Sometimes it's very, very okay to mask your element. All right, so I think in one of my tutorials subsequently, in real time, I'll explain how I mask elements and how you could apply it. All right, so this is one of those tutorials where we just talk about tips, we just talk about how-tos, or we talk about some of the fundamental and some of the very important things on Photoshop. All right, so if you found this helpful and you still stayed along with me till this very point in time, please like the video and drop a comment. All right, drop a comment in the comment section. If you have any question, you have anything you need clarification on, I'll be very happy to give answers and give feedbacks to those comments in the comment section. All right, so very importantly, subscribe to my YouTube channel, and until I come your way again, I am AP Media. Thank you.